Hey, congratulations on participating on this project, Own the Room.
Thank you
Hey,
so
Jim.
much.
I
I'm
think,
sorry, didn't mean to interrupt. Go ahead.
It's
but
okay, no problem.
anyways, like I said, congratulations for participating on Own the Room for yourself. Congratulations with that.
Thank you. Thank you so much. It has been quite a journey.
Hey, so tell me, how did they convince you to be a part of this documentary? Because I know trying to make pitches in this competition was probably nerve-wracking already. So I don't even know, can't even imagine the idea of them saying, not only were you going to pitch the idea, we're going to film you pitch the idea.
Yes, I mean, it was definitely challenging, but I think that it was more like the excitement that I felt about maybe being able to have my story told to more people. I do think that this competition is challenging from every angle. Okay, like the fact that they ask you to tell your story more than just what your business does to a room full of strangers, that's not something that I was used to. And I would dare say that most of the other participants weren't used to. But you really learn how powerful a story is. When you see what someone has gone through and what they have been able to build from that, you get inspired, you get motivated, and you really connect with them. So for me, when they told us about this documentary, well, part of me was like, are you sure, like we're like important enough? Or, like, do you think like this is really like the material for a documentary that people will want to watch? But then as I met all the other students and I heard their stories, I was like, yes, like the world should hear this. Like the world should hear what everyone here is doing. And really, I feel like it gives you hope for the future that we have ahead of us. It makes you realize that there's so many people fighting for what's good and for a good difference in our planet that I think it makes it worth it.
Now, for a little bit of background, you're more of a scientist. You're not a businesswoman per se. Or am I correct?
Correct.
So when all of this actually started, you just came up with an idea. But when did you take the next step, saying, you know what, now it's to take that idea into the entrepreneurial scope? Because usually for most companies, they bring in the business person, in that, but you stepped into those shoes yourself. When did you decide that I want to be on this side of the business?
Yes, so I was doing my PhD and I knew that I wanted to develop technologies that would make the chemical industry more sustainable. Now, as I talked to people outside the research world, I realized that most of the talk was just around, yeah, the chemical industry wants to be more sustainable, but most of these technologies, they don't go anywhere. They stay in the lab, they go to a scientific journal, but they don't really make it out to make the new products and our future in the chemical manufacturing field. So I started thinking that I didn't want that to happen with my work. I knew that I could build something that was useful, and I wanted to make sure that it could go somewhere and that it could really have an impact. So that is how we realized, I started thinking that the first thing I had to do was understand a little bit more how this environment worked, how the chemical industry worked, and I found myself a co-founder. She's also a chemical engineer, so none of us had the background in business, but we signed up for all the competitions that we could find because they usually have trainings, they ask you for deliverables, so it at least shows you the way of what you should know. So we started going, to all of these competitions and the Entrepreneurial Institute at NYU. We went to all of the classes. It was challenging because, I still had all of the workload from a PhD, but then at nights and on weekends and every time I had the time for it, I would go to the business talks and read more about the business side and start building the business case from that. While Miriam was still at school, we pretty much did all of the business together. And then once she graduated, she became the CEO of the company. And I have remained as the CTO, focusing mostly on the technical development of the company. But I guess you never really detach from the business side, because now really my work is fueled and it adapts to what we hear from the market. So it's a constant back and forth between business and tech.
most businesses don't go through, global competition, entrepreneurial competitions. Most, businesses just go through the traditional path of, pitching it to, venture capitalists or private investors and so on. Why did you want to basically go that route into, like a competition?
Well, mostly because we knew that the idea behind synthetics is really big. Changing the chemical industry and really developing a technology that can go all the way worldwide, that takes a lot of money. And if from the beginning, when we're still figuring things out and adapting our product to it, if we brought a lot of investors, then we were probably going to lose control of the company too quickly. So we realized that the US has so many resources. There are state grants that we won, there are competitions. We actually were able to raise $400,000 in non-dilutive grants and competitions. And that allowed us to really maintain control of our company. And we also leveraged so many mentors and so many resources throughout each of those competitions. I highly encourage anyone who has an idea and who wants to start a business to look for these opportunities, because you can get a lot from it, not just from what you learn, but also the financial resources, and it gets you ready on the right place for when you move on to equity investment.
So how did you personally prep for competitions like this? Because you're not coming from an MBA background, you're coming from a PhD background.
Yes, well, of course, the first challenge you can imagine was just communicating effectively. I am a scientist, so I'm used to working and talking to people who use very complex terms, who go deep into the science and get lost in the details of everything we're saying. So you have to first remember that this is about the big picture and making everything simpler, making sure that everyone understands it. That's the first thing I really take time to do, make sure that my message can be communicated effectively. And then I would say that our best tip is that we have been very honest in all of our competitions. We have never walked into a competition room answering that we know everything, or making up the answers to the questions that we were getting. It happened to us so many times, and it still happens to me a lot, that people ask something and we say, we don't know yet. I don't know exactly the answer to that, but I promise you, I'll figure it out. I'll send you an email, next Monday. We'll find out what that's about and we will get an answer for you. I think that really helps, because people recognize that what we're telling is true and we know it. And then for what we don't know, we're being honest about. I think that as long as you remain honest, judges and investors, people see that, they believe in you, and then they believe in the mission, and that you can really build the product that you're selling.
So what was your experience like, standing in front of these group of judges trying to make pitches for yourself? I never had to do it. When I make pitches, it's usually at a table and it's very much simpler, and I actually know these people. But how do you, what was going through you when you made these pitches?
Well, of course, you get nervous because you know that all these people are like watching carefully, and you're the only one who has to like prove so much and don't forget the little details and remember all of these things. So you get really nervous. But I'll say that he was nervous on a different level for the interaction with the judges. In a lot of competitions, or even in meetings with investors, like they want to find the flaw in your business, and they start asking questions like, yeah, but what is your revenue here? Yeah, but what about your profit? Yeah, but what if this? And then, your answers are always about, yes, like we have thought about this, and the best thing for the business is this. The best course of action is this. I was completely like knocked out on the first competition for GSEA that I did on the regional level at New York City. And when the questions from the judges were more about me, and, like, why do you believe in this? Like, what was the biggest challenge in your life that brought you here? What has been the biggest thing that you have overcome? It becomes so personal that it's tough to open up in front of other people. So it was very challenging. The good part is that you could see in everyone from EO is the organization that hosts this competition. They are entrepreneurs who also have a huge heart, and that is why they host this competition. So when they're asking you and they want to hear about your story, you can see that there no bad vibe from them. They actually want to learn from you, and they want you to be able to share that and connect with others. So once you do it, it's very powerful. It's hard to explain, but I promise you, it feels like you are being so honest about your story, and you're opening up and being vulnerable, that you actually grow from that.
Well, which makes you a great figure in this documentary, is because you have a great story to actually tell. How do you feel that was documented here in On the Room? About your immigration from Venezuela, and does that actually pushes you even further to make sure that this business is going to go someplace?
Yes, at first, when I knew that my story was going to be told, around the world, I got scared for a second. It's not something that I'm used to. So you kind of have this feeling of like, when did I sign up for this? Like, I didn't think that this was going to go so big so quickly. But now I think about it and I realize that I feel lucky. I feel like this is an incredible opportunity. I can't believe that my story gets to be told, and then it can, reach other people and inspire them to do similar things. I really hope that even, if one little girl, if one little boy, if one adult, if one teenager, if someone on their PhD, anyone, is feeling like their dream is too big, or like they come from a difficult background, or, they're lost in whatever's happening to them, I hope they can all see that we can push through that we can get through it, and that we can move forward. That what matters is that you believe in what you're building and that you believe in yourself. So I think that with this documentary, I just really hope that when people watch it, they realize the story that so many immigrants have behind them, how we have had to build a new life from scratch, and in many cases, a new business as well. But you're right, after having this out there and knowing how many people are excited about it and believing it as well, the motivation like triples on how much we want to make sure that this goes somewhere and that we can make the change that our planet deserves.
Well, yours is a very good emotional story, not to mention that your mother was along with the ride the whole time. How did she feel about all this, honestly?
I think she was overwhelmed, but definitely she felt so lucky. She was so happy. My mom has been there for everything that I have done. Ever since I was very little, the first, little contest that I won on the science fair, she was there on the first row, screaming for me and taking the blurry pictures because she kept jumping. But this is the first time, the only time in my life when speaking about my work, I've been able to also tell that I'm here because of her. And it fills my heart because it's a great honor. It's great to be able to do that. And I think that my mom, she couldn't believe that was happening. She, like, if you have seen the film, or if anyone hasn't seen it, you should go and see it because she's such a loving person. She is just wonderful. And I hope that, this helps her like never forget how much I love her, how much I thank her for everything that she has done for me, and how special she is to me. And I hope that, even other people who watch it, they realize that their own people have been supporting them, how important it is to thank them for everything they've done.
I think when I view it, I'm not going to spoil the ending, obviously, because we want people to watch your story. But when I actually watch it, I found it so interesting was with all the other competitors, you folks are so friendly with each other. Is that really true? Because in a capitalistic market, it's a dog eat dog where we're not really that friendly out there. But was it really that friendly on screen?
Yes, I have to say, everyone should watch this film because the story of the other entrepreneurs are so powerful as well. It was an environment where, of course, it was a competition and people wanted to win, but just being there and getting to listen to other people's stories, it made you admire everyone who was taking the stage. And once you have that level of respect for them, of admiration, honestly, like, I feel like it's impossible for you not to feel inside that you're rooting for them as well. There is this quote from the documentary where I echo it. You know, everyone should go watch it, where it says pretty much that whoever wins, we all win. This is what this competition was about. It's so many student entrepreneurs who want to make a difference in the world and who are fighting for a better future. So once you're there, it's impossible to not like them, to not admire their work, and to not feel like you're their number one fan and hoping that they all get to succeed in what they're doing.
So where's your company now at this point? Are you still seeking financing? Are you still expanding? You're obviously beyond the seed stage.
So, so actually, we have had some changes on the technology end. We are now commercializing the machine learning platform that I used to develop the solar nylon process. So now we're making it even more general and offering to the chemical industry so that we can develop more sustainable chemical processes throughout the entire industry. We are currently under technology pilots with different big chemical companies, and we have done our pre-seed round. So we're actually going to be raising for more money mid-2021, most likely, for our seed round. And then from there, we're planning to really grow our team and go into the growth stage for our product within the companies.
So where are you hoping to see your company, 5 to 10 years from now?
I hope that 5 to 10 years from now, first, we have really made a difference in how the new sustainable processes are developed. I hope that people are no longer afraid of developing something new and sustainable because it's too difficult or too expensive. I hope they see our tool as really the enabler for them to do it very quickly, very cost effectively, and for that to change the way that our entire chemical industry works. I hope it'll be throughout the different segments and the different countries in the world being used. And I hope that it's also a platform for the new generation of chemical engineers to really feel like this is the future. I hope that, the new generation that comes is willing to also work with this mindset of how much more sustainable our chemical industry needs to be. I hope that even more women join us. I hope that everyone feels comfortable in this environment, and we all recognize that by thinking differently, that's how you build the solution that's actually going to change everything.
So when you started this business, it sounds like there's a lot of hopes. Are you hoping to change the industry overall? Because a lot of business people look, like you've mentioned before, you thought they look only to profits, but are you just want to change the techniques and saying, look, this technique here also can make profit and it helps the world? Is that what you're going for?
Yes, because the problem is that in the chemical industry, there is a huge drive for sustainability. But you can imagine this is a huge industry with very expensive and huge traditional infrastructure. So changing it overnight, that's incredibly difficult. And, it's pretty much unfeasible. So if you sell just sustainability, it's not enough for the chemical industry to be able to change overnight. But what we do is that we give them a tool to show them that, hey, with this tool, if you want to make a new process, you can do it 3 times faster. You can do it 3 times less expensive, and it can be 3 times more efficient. And then on top of that, it's more sustainable. So that is the mindset that we're looking for, that from now on, sustainability is not a pain. Sustainability is something that is completely doable, completely achievable. I don't know if achievable is a word. Sorry. But something that we can completely do without having to lose on profit or without having to spend years trying to develop it.
And on a personal level, do you call the United States your home now, or would you still like to go back to Venezuela someday?
I call the United States my home now. Venezuela is, of course, forever my home. I don't know when I'll be able to go back, but I definitely dream of being able to go and seeing everyone and everything that I miss so much every single day. But I am very lucky because I came here with literally 2 suitcases and I moved to New York, where I knew only one person. And I have been very lucky and very fortunate to be able to have so many friends, so many people who support me, to start my business here and really follow my dream. I also found the love of my life in this country. So everything has really come together and I am so grateful. I think that I no longer feel like I'm someone who had to leave their home. I feel like I'm someone who was fortunate enough to be able to build a new one.
I am so glad that you have told this story, not just for the business side, but also your personal side, which is terrific. So let me leave off with one last question here. When people finally watch this documentary, what's the one most important take that you hope that they walk away with after watching this?
I hope anyone who watches it realizes that life is about aiming high. It's about, that's your legacy. It's living an impact. It can be either through business or through the way that you just make everyone around you feel. I hope that we all remember that there is always the opportunity to do good, from bigger things, and that we should never just think that somebody else will do it. It's up to all of us to put our little contribution for that to happen. I think the film is filled with stories that let you see that, and that I hope everyone will find inspiring to also continue doing good in their lives.
That is an excellent answer. Well, Daniela, hey, thank you very much for speaking with us. I can tell that you're going to go very far. So 5 to 10 years from now, hopefully, I get to talk to you again, and you'll be on the cover of Inc. and Forbes magazine by then.
Thank you so much for having me and for speaking with me today. It was great. I really appreciate it.
No, thank you. Appreciate it. Bye now.
Bye.
Bye.